new production facilities coming online. We spent the better part of most of last year, completely redoing it. It's geared towards aluminum intense vehicles as well as EV vehicles, and should definitely help us keep a forward advantage on not only the market, but also the upcoming vehicles coming out. We got Rivian last year, that certification, and there are other EV certifications on the market that we'll most likely be looking to get as well. And just trying to, stay ahead of the curve and make sure that we're able to service our customers and, do the right repair every time.
So welcome everybody to another exciting episode of the one and only Crash Course. Here we go again. All right. So last episode was really cool. I think it was anyway. I hope you did too. I hope you checked it out. If you didn't, well, go check it out. All right. We had a guest, an interesting guest, Brian Cohen. He was a guest of ours over at the radio station with a couple of his associates there. So I got him back in because there were a lot of interesting developments with respect to cars and racing on Long Island, right? So I thought that was pretty cool. We did a bit back in the day on the radio where we basically took a look at the history of racing on Long Island. We looked at the many different tracks and facilities and also personalities. Apparently some of the greatest race car guys were actually here. All right. And ISOP Speedway hosted Al Unser. I even think, what's his name? The guy with the dark hair, and I don't even know if he's still alive. His name escapes me. I'll get it later. But at any rate, so I think Al Unser raced there like in 70 or something like that, or 69. These guys, granted, they probably weren't obviously well known yet. All right. But the fact that they actually came here is a pretty big deal, right? I mean, because, it's not like we were sponsoring the Daytona 500 or the Indianapolis racetrack, right? I mean, so that was pretty cool. So anyway, so we brought Brian back and we had him in to kind of, chew the fat a little bit on what's been happening on Long Island. I had no idea. I don't know if anybody else did. So if you're on Long Island and you follow me and you listen to the show and you like racing and you like cars, check it out. Listen up. What we talked about, Brian's been very involved in this, and I had no idea that this has been a thing that they were actually able to get. So you might have seen from time to time people drive around, right? They have the bumper stickers. Long Island needs a drag strip. Blah blah blah. Well, many years ago we had one. I think we had a couple of them, but I know one that was very prominent. Excuse me, because I had friends that raced there. It was in West Hampton Beach, and of course they plowed that under and threw up condos and all kinds of other shit because that pays taxes and drag racing does nothing. So goodbye to the racing, hello for more tax revenue, and the rest of that story. So anyway, so racing really died, right? I mean, there's nothing going on here anymore. I mean, you got Riverhead, and I think the only reason why Riverhead survives, and we talked about this a little bit, is it's been basically, I think they granted a historical monument, a historical location. So by law under, National Archives and all that other stuff, it can't be touched, right? They can't bulldoze it. Now, they're bulldozing everything around it, right? If you've been to Riverhead, I mean, here on Long Island, it's becoming like the concrete jungle, folks. It's incredible to see. I mean, there's places on Long Island where I grew up, and they literally were nothing but potato farms. I mean, I can remember coming out in the 1970s to Eastern Long Island. When I say Eastern Long Island, I'm not talking about like, the end, Montauk Point, Orient Point. I'm not even talking about Riverhead. I'm talking about anything east of the William Floyd was Eastern Long Island. All right. There was literally nothing out there. Farms. That's it. Woods and farms and animals. But there were a lot of racetracks. All right. And West Hampton was a drag strip. Okay. And a very popular one, and it hosted some very famous and important races. So so a lot of people obviously were very upset about them deciding to plow that under, and it's like anything else, right? I mean, I've been living here my whole life, and yeah, granted, listen, it's a great place, right? We got the beaches. You drive 2-3 hours upstate if you like to ski, if you like the snow and the cold. We got all kinds of winter sports. We got the mountains, right? The Adirondacks, the Catskills. It's great. We got, amazing natural resources here that make for a really fun time. Great fishing, the whole 9 yards, right? I would say we got some pretty cool parks too. But racing was very integral to Long Island. I mean, I grew up with it, right? Me and my brothers, we love car racing. And I grew up right by Islip Speedway. I grew up in Brentwood. I mean, every Saturday night we could hear the cars racing. It was really exciting. You know, we'd sit on the stoop and listen. And as I got older, we'd go to the races. I was in Scouts. They had different events there, and it was great. And there was a big track in Freeport, and then of course Riverhead. So, you know, it was I don't know. I guess a cultural thing, you know, as well. I mean, racing, I think overall is an American sport. You know, I know they do it in Europe. I don't want anybody, you know, jumping on the bandwagon. What are you talking about? You know, you have Ferrari versus Ford and all this other shit. Yeah, I get it. But car racing in America, right? It was started in large part by the booze runners, right? I mean, you know, I think I saw an episode on that on one of those shows on Discovery or History Channel, some shit. I don't know. But it literally grew out of the illegal industry, which was what? Which was bootlegging, right? They had to run the cops and it was a hell of a program. You should check it out. It's really cool. And this eventually begot NASCAR, right? So it was interesting. Yeah, the guys that would run, you know, the White Lightning and all the other stuff from all the stills and everything operating in the Appalachia and the woods and the mountains and stuff. So anyway, to come full circle back to Long Island, so it was always a big deal, right? And cars. I mean, if you grew up in the 60s and the 70s like I did, cars were everything. I mean, cars were just an extension. They were of your personality. I mean, the shit that we did with our cars, it was just absolutely cool. And I don't want to hear anybody talking about, you know, the guy I work with is a lot younger than me, and he's like, I got a Honda and I put a turbo and, you know, all right, great. You know, fantastic. I'm talking about American muscle cars. I'm talking about the old Chargers, the Plymouth Satellites, right? The Impalas, even a little further along the line, like the mid 80s when we had the Cutlass. And then you had the Buick Regal. I mean, the SS Monte Carlo. Come on. Am I ringing a bell here or what, right? The Grand Prix. Remember the Grand Prix? What the hell did that have in it? A 400 or something? I mean, these cars were classics. And in the 70s, we had the Chevelle, right? My friend had the 71 Chevelle. I had an 81 Berlinetta Camaro with the T-tops. You had the Firebird. You had the Trans Am, right? Go watch Smokey and the Bandit. You can see the Trans Am. So it was just a lot of fun, right? It was a lot of fun. All American cars. I don't even think we knew what a European car was, right? There may have been a trickling of them here and there. And then again, most of them, when I started in the insurance, and holy shit, I started in the insurance in the end of 86. We used to have gray market cars. All right, go check that out. Go look that up. We're not going to get into that. Gray market car. I remember learning about it. I'm like, what the hell is a gray market? It was basically an import that just didn't meet the American standards, right? Either for safety, emissions, whatever. Pick something. So that was a gray market car. And the reason why that was important was because there weren't a lot of imports, folks. Yeah, it was good old American shit. All right. So we had Brian come back, had him on the show last week. We had a nice conversation, and he brought us up to speed on what's been happening on the racing front. And I was pleasantly surprised to find out that it's really looks like it's becoming a success. It's really catching on. So if you like that kind of thing, if you live in Long Island, all right, especially Suffolk County, and you like cars, or you think your kids like cars, right? Check it out, man. They operate out there. I think he said they start in the second or third week in August, and they run through October. Early October. You got all the environmental bullshit and everything, so they can only operate between here and there. But listen, I mean, at least they did all the hard work. They laid the groundwork. They worked with the town of Brookhaven and a couple other wizards to know out there, and they got the thing set up. Everybody agreed to it. They got a drag strip out there. It's not NASCAR. I'm not a big drag guy, so I don't really know the nomenclature. But it's not going to be anything like that. But it is a drag strip, and yes, they do utilize one of the old Grumman's runways. I mean, those things. If you ever been out there, those runways, I think they said you could land a 747 there. That's how long they were. So they got plenty of leg room out there for dragging. Another thing they do is drifting. Right? Check it out. If you like to drift, none of that illegal shit. Right? We saw what was going on there for a while. Thank God the Suffolk County PD. Looks like they really did their homework and they cracked down on that. Great job, guys. Appreciate it. That's just a no-go, man, right? All that illegal stuff. So they put together a drifting course. All right? Again, there you go. So if that's your thing, man, if you like to drift, you can do it legally and safely right out there. And they also have a go-kart. So if you have a young kid, and he or she is interested in maybe, trying out racing, or maybe just as a hobby, whatever it is, you can go out there. You can take part in the go-kart races. I heard they're pretty funny and pretty cool to do. And so all that's going on. I thought that was really cool, right? So he brought us up to speed on that and said that it's been a huge success. It continues to grow in popularity. Unfortunately, he did seem to indicate that it seemed like a lot of the spectators, unfortunately, seem to be tied to, family and friends of the people participating. So, again, hopefully we're reaching a lot of Long Islanders here with this show, Crash Course. And if you're hearing this and you're seeing us and you're hearing me talking about this, and this is your thing, this tickles your fancy, hey man, tell everybody about it, right? If you got friends, family, people at work that are race car guys, or they just like cars, and and they may have been wondering what the hell ever happened. Well, guess what? It's happening. Right, August through October, we do have a drag strip, drifting course, and a go-kart. Right, so check that out. We were also talking about some other stuff involving just, general terms about the industry itself, the collision industry, and, how we're going to be trying to generate interest and get some, younger people involved in that part of that. Hopefully, we're going to be bringing some individuals on the show to talk about that in more detail. Again, listen, if you got, family, right, young kids, and folks, look, I came out of school in 1980, and college was still a novelty, right? It was. There was still not a lot of people going. It still wasn't that easy to access it. They had just literally launched the student guarantee loan program, which back then was like nothing. Okay, there wasn't a lot of money floating around in that program. Trust me, I always had to scramble. I was in a 3-semester school, and I just never could scrape together enough money with that. But anyway, that's when it started, and so that kind of opened up the floodgates. But prior to that, I mean, college was a novelty. You didn't have everybody going to school. I mean, Christ, most of the people I grew up weren't going to college, right? They were going to go get jobs. They were going to, go to a tech school, a trade school, whatever they were going to do. It just wasn't that big of a deal yet. So, but we talked about that. We talked about how, they seem to be there seems to be more interest in bringing back the trades, at least at the high school level, giving kids an alternative, folks, right? We want to give them an alternative instead of always go to college and getting hot and come out and get a $40,000 a year job. Woo, that's great. Come on. I mean, and don't get me wrong here. Listen, there is definitely a reason to go to school. Right? You want to be an engineer, you want to be a doctor, a dentist, I get it. I mean, those are degree specific programs, and that's where you go, right? But for the majority of us, basket weaving 101, business, general, I mean, come on. I told my niece and my nephew was, very, very smart kid, but he did a smarter thing. He decided to go serve his country in the Air Force for 4 years, got a nice fat $50,000 departure check, free of charge, no taxes, put that down on his first house. Think about it, right? Think you could do that getting out of college? No. And then my niece, same thing, smart girl, and she ended up getting a job with Stop and Shop, and she's been there 20 years already now. She's a department head. They're doing very well. Her fiance is a store manager, and he's actually taking advantage of their tuition assistance program, and he's going to school now to get a degree to keep moving up the ladder. So, point is, there are many paths to success. All right, and I think the fact that we're going to bring the trades back, and and hopefully get young people excited about another way to make a living. There's nothing wrong making a living. I always kick myself in the ass. I really do. I was the first one in my family. Everybody was blue collar, and out of the blue collar, I'd say 90% of them were all civil service. Great, no problem. For some whatever reason, I guess because I saw them all in civil service, I was determined to break the mold, and I was the first one to get into college and all that other shit, yada, yada, yada. But looking back, I wish I would have got a trade. I wish I would have learned carpentry, electrical, metal work, anything. Because folks, right? at the end of the day, you can always make money with your hands. Okay, you can always make money with your hands. And even if you got a piece of paper on your wall, great. But if you have a trade, well, guess what? Right? There's a second job. All right, another income stream. So we talked about that, and like I said, Suffolk County Community College is going ahead with their technical school. I was a little disappointed to hear that they hadn't actually brought that to fruition. You know, it was a number of years ago on the radio show that we had Brian and some of his associates on that were intimately involved in that, and I don't know, they hit a wall, they hit a snag. But apparently it is still going forward. There's a new director now, and that's the gentleman we're going to try and get in here and get him on the show and pick his brain. And that's a good thing. It's going to be a degree program. You know, so like I said, so if you have a daughter or a son and they really don't want to go to school, and that's fine. They can go over there and they get a degree, a technical degree, right? Whether it's mechanical, body shop, right? That's going to be great. You can get it in auto body, electrical. I know that Tesla and Musk, I know they dumped some money into the Stony Brook program. I don't know if they're going to be involved in the Suffolk County Community College. I don't know. But so that's something that's, still coming along. So hopefully we can get those guys in here and we can chew the fat with them and, and see where we're at on that. All right. So it's about time that we really started to rehabilitate the trades again in this country. Right. So that was good. So we had a lot of fun with that. All right. Next episode, we may have a guest on. Hopefully working on that. It should be interesting if you're a body shop guy, all right, or a technical person. You might find it pretty cool. We're going to have a gentleman in here who's been running his own company. He's been in the ADAS area, all right, the accident detection and avoidance systems and the calibrations and all that nifty stuff that you really unfortunately can't avoid today, right? We've spoken about that on this show many times. So hopefully maybe we can drag him in here and we can pick his brain and have a little fun with that and see where everybody's at with that. It just seems like every time you turn around, that's, there's some other component of that they're adding on, right? So we'll see where they're at with that and how he's been doing with his company with that. He was at the tip of the spear. And, he launched his company when this whole thing was kind of just coming about. All right. Hey, so let's get back to what we do, right? What we do the best. All right. We are the bestest at all this. And what is that? Well, it's helping the folks, man, right? It's giving you guys information and knowledge you need and can use and advice you can trust. I've been saying this since the beginning of time. My time, that is. Not your time, the beginning of our time. The beginning of Crash Course, right? Over at the radio, now here. And it's very important today, folks. I can't, I got some stuff here that really grinds my gears, all right? I mean, it really gets the smoke coming out of the ears on the stuff that I got in here, all right? I got some really juicy shit. And you don't got to be in the body shop business. And you don't have to be in the insurance industry. You know what you have to be? You have to be you and I, consumers, because that's what this affects. All right, what I'm going to talk about here today affects us. All right, don't kid yourself. All right. Now, this is something that affects me professionally, all right, because yours truly, what I've been saying for years now, I work over at V&J Auto Body, which, by the way, all right, V&J Auto Body, what can I say? All right. V&J Auto Body is our amazing sponsor. We love those guys, all right? They've been with us from the beginning of this adventure, all right? And it is an adventure. So I can't say enough about their support and their continued support, all right, as we move forward and continue to grow the show. All right, we continue to add viewership. Thank you very much. Keep spreading the word. Head over to YouTube, right? I tell everybody we're on YouTube. Okay, I'm a big YouTuber. I'm sure you are. Check out our YouTube channel. All right, you'll find some interesting videos there and a lot of other stuff. All right, and I think all episodes of the show. And of course, we're on Instagram, right? You like Reels? Go to Reels. Find me there. Listen up. Check in. Check on. Right? Click in. Click on. Become a follower. Tell your friends, your family, your business associates, even people you don't like. Let's keep adding on, folks. All right, because the more and more people we get to, the smarter people get on this. All right, the less likely it is we're going to get screwed. That's the best way I can put that. All right. And when I say screwed about what? Right? You can get screwed about a lot of things today in life. Well, I'm talking specifically from the insurance guys. All right, and also the body shop guys. All right, I make no qualms about that here. All right, neither one of these industries you want to tread water lightly with. Okay, I like to say ignorance is not bliss with this shit. Okay, believe me. It's not something you just want to wade into and just, well, let's see how it goes. Not good. All right. So anyway, let's get to it. I'm going to read you a couple things here, and then I'm going to just elaborate a little bit and give you my opinion and also my, my advice and also why it's important to us, right? Because I know a lot of people, listen, I've been working over at V&J, which, by the way, let me just throw a couple things out there. V&J Auto Body, all right, I just said they're a sponsor. I can't say enough about these guys, but let me also say this, folks. If you need auto body, right, if you're in Suffolk County, specifically Weston Suffolk, okay, we do have a satellite office out in the Hamptons. So if you're in Southampton, stop by, say hello. We got donuts and coffee there. Joe's usually out there manning the show out there. Stop in and say hello. But anyway, V&J Auto Body. I was just down at our production center today. This place is we're totally up and running. It's been totally CO'd now. We're officially operating on all 10 cylinders. And and I just said to James, one of the owners, I said you should really contact Fender Bender or one of these other outlets, and have them come down and do an expose because V&J Auto Body is just like a state of the art facility, right? And I don't say that lightly. I know there's a lot of other big shops, and I'm sure there's huge operations out in Texas and some other parts of the country. That's fine. I get that. I'm talking specifically right here on Long Island. Okay. It is just an industry leader. All right. A trendsetter. They've been that way from the beginning and we continue to be. And I say we, because I work there. All right. Full disclosure. I do work there. I'm a writer. I'm an estimator and a manager. All right. And of course, a customer service expert. If you come in there for any kind of help regarding your car or insurance, you're going to meet me. All right. And, you're going to get the best service in the industry. But V&J Auto Body, cutting edge technology, cutting edge technicians, and cutting edge business processes and equipment. That's all. I mean, I don't know what else to say. If you have a car and you own it, like most of us do today, then you should be really damn concerned about who's fixing your car and how they're fixing it, folks. And I've said this over and over, and I'll keep saying it until I either die or the show ends. How's that? Anyway, 2 terminal events. Anyway, because it's just, I deal with this every day. People come in, I took pictures, I sent the photos to the insurance company, and then I look at their car and I'm like, oh shit, well, you got this and this, and I didn't see that, and the damage is right there. It's right there. It's either in the vicinity or, could be, quote unquote, but once you disclose information in them, guys, that's it. And everything that you give them is theirs. Okay? It's theirs to keep. It's their property. All right? It's also a privacy issue. All right? Photos work for you and they work against you. All right? Remember that. Everybody loves photos. I'm going to take pictures. Do you realize that I get people that come in my office and, I got to put a claim in. I got to do that. All right, no problem. We're going to help you. And then they tell me they sent the photos and everything. Do you know that they send photos and they screw themselves on liability? No shit. I bet you didn't think about that. Okay? Just had a real life issue again. Because they sent the freaking photos to the insurance company and they screwed themselves on the liability. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, they took photos of the scene, photos of their car, photos of the other guy's car, and the insurance company said, hey, thanks a lot, jerk off. Well, they didn't say jerk off. Thanks a lot. We appreciate that, pal. Now we're going to make you responsible for the accident. All right? I mean, folks, come on. All right? This is like a guy comes to rob you and you put the gun in his hand so you can help him. I mean, who does that, right? Or the contractor that you hire to come to your house and he tells you it's $15,000 for the job and he shows up and he hands you a hammer and tells you start helping. I mean, why you would never do that? You take the hammer and hit him in the head with it, right? So, and that's what people are doing with this shit. I don't get it. It kills me. I've been in this industry for 30 years. Folks, read your policy. I used to say that when I was on a desk, and of course, I'd be like, that's a joke. Nobody reads the policy. Insurance companies knew that, but I had to tell you that. Right? It's a disclaimer, right? It's almost like a non-waiver. All right. I used to have to hand out non-waiver. It's almost like a non-waiver by making that statement, right? You got to read, you're expected to read your policy. Oh, okay. And like the guy's going to understand what he's reading. They sent me to school. You can't make this shit up. They sent us to claim school at State Farm for 3 weeks, but somehow Joe Blow is expected to read his policy and understand it. It's such bullshit. It's all bullshit, folks. Let me tell you. But you got the new castrati out there today, right? Always the new castrati. The young folks, wake up! Come on, stop handing everything over. All right, that's not liberty, man. That's not free. Okay, you're handing everything over, and that includes handing shit to the insurance companies. Knock it all. You don't have to do that. There's nothing in the power. It says you have to make the car available, convenient to you, not them, to you during normal business hours. You have to cooperate with them. No problem. Report the accident, make a statement, whatever they want. Okay? Nothing in there says, hey, you got to send us photos so we can write an estimate that's going to screw you out of money that you really are entitled to. And on top of that, you're going to help us screw you on your premium because we're going to turn around and find out, wow, you know what? The jackass really did cause the accident. I mean, come on, folks. This doesn't take a PhD, all right? Everybody needs to stop being so nice and stop cooperating. It's not illegal. It's not insurance fraud, okay? It's not a contract violation. You're under no obligation to cooperate with them. You're not a licensed adjuster. I've said this on an episode a while ago. Go check it out. I had a whole episode on this. They have highly trained people like myself who have many years in the industry or who have been trained through a technical school and also understand and are well-versed, or should be anyway in theory, on Regulation 64, New York State insurance law, and how to properly evaluate damage on a car. You're not that person. They know that. Thank you. That's what they're counting on. So knock it off. All right, here we go. And like I said, folks, if you're in Western Suffolk, all right, in Suffolk County, but if you get in a wreck, all right, you got to go to V&J Auto Body. Okay. State-of-the-art facility. And like I said, I would put our 2 claim girls, our custom expert girls. I would say today. I mean, come on. Some of the stuff you ever talk to the insurance company, you get brainless 1 and brainless 2 talking to you. So our girls are super intelligent, super informed, super well versed in claims handling, insurance, and folks, if you need somebody on your side, Donna and Jackie are the girls to get on your side. So pick up the phone, call V&J Auto Body when you need that kind of thing, and we're going to make sure you get taken care of the right way. Hey, folks, here we go, right? Insurers, I'm going to read a little something. Insurers, now listen to this. Listen up. Hello. Oh, I forgot. Shit. So we're going to have a little gimmick going forward. It's called Squeaky. I left Squeaky in the car. Anyway, we're going to bring Squeaky in next week. And every time Squeaky squeaks, that means listen up. All right, so here we go. A little prop stuff going on here. Always trying to enlighten the show. Always trying to lighten things up, get it a little edgy. Insurers are not bound by the same consumer protection laws that collision repair shops must follow. So you're like, great. What does that mean? Well, the importance of knowing how insurers try to get consumers to circumvent those laws and put repair quality at risk. What that basically means is that they don't have to give a shit about your car. They can write estimates and everything else and tell you to send photos, but at the end of the day, they're not bound by any liability laws or consumer protection laws. Your body shop is, they're not. Now listen up, all right? Follow the bouncing ball here. Insurer estimates do not matter. Hello. Insurance estimates do not matter. Do not matter. So when you send photos and they send you back an estimate, which doesn't reflect accurately the damage anyway, and you get screwed out of money, that estimate don't mean shit. They know it. You don't know it. They know it. Insurance estimates don't matter. I knew that. I knew that as a licensed adjuster working for USAA, State Farm, all of them. Doesn't matter what I write. That's why I didn't give a shit. Here you go. Here's the, we don't use those parts, or we don't call that place. I don't give a shit. Here you go. Repairers must decide what the car needs and get consent from the consumer before beginning work. All right. Fear-mongering, false promises, and demands for payment of services not expressly approved by us, the consumer, are strictly prohibited. Okay. Insurance estimates do not matter. Repairers must decide what the car needs. All right, folks, come on. So the insurance company, not only are they writing a bullshit estimate, but the estimate doesn't even have to be accurate. Because they're not bound by consumer protection laws. We following the bouncing ball here? All right, stay with me now. It's also been explained, all right, that they use two main tactics, all right, insurance companies now, to interfere with the estimate process. Now listen up, follow the bouncing ball. They tell the consumer to give the repairer the insurer's estimate and tell the shop to perform repairs per the estimate. I used to do that. Here you go. Make sure you give this to your body shop. Okay. All right. And then they say make sure that they tell the shop to perform repairs per the estimate. Insurers attempt to dictate repairs without liability. Folks, are you getting this? By trying to control cost or denying pre- and post scans that would be negligent for the repairer to do. Folks, listen, I'm getting this all the time, especially from Allstate and State Farm. You insure with Allstate and State Farm? Listen up. Start thinking outside the box with them, folks. All right? You go see the agent, he's got a big smile, and he pushes a paper in front of you. Sign right here. We're going to get you in good hands, or we're going to be a good neighbor. No, he's not. The minute you walk out the door, they're already thinking of ways to screw you. I'm going to give you a little friendly tip here real quick. Allstate, okay? You know, with Allstate now, your car gets wrecked and you end up at Tricky Dick's Auto Body in the middle of nowhere, and he hits you over the head in $2,000 in charges. Well, guess what? Allstate codified in the policy, they're only paying $1,000. You're screwed. You're paying the other $1,000. Okay? They also don't want to pay to blend panels anymore. They also don't want to pay for technology requirements, like this article says about pre- and post scanning. It's horrendous, folks. And now you know why. They're not bound by consumer protection laws. They don't give a shit. Their estimates don't matter. I just said that, right? They tell the consumer, give the estimate to the shop and tell them to perform the repairs per the estimate. But the estimate doesn't matter. The lawyer that wrote this article, here, check it out. She says insurance companies can dictate repairs if they accept liability for first-party repairs. The problem is insurance companies want to dictate without accepting liability. Now, if you've been listening to me on Crash Course, you should already start to be thinking, oh, shit, I know where this is going, because that's what I said when I was reading the article. DRP, direct repair programs, right? You've heard me rant about this over the years. This is the worst thing that ever came down the pipe. Great thing for the insurance companies. I was working in the industry when they got the green light to start this shit. All right. And boy, I tell you, they couldn't jump up and down fast enough, and the party horns were blowing and everything else. The lawyer says here, insurers promote DRPs, follow the bouncing ball, direct repair, as the best top quality participants when they often promote the lowest common denominator to save cost. Folks, so what they're saying in this article is they want to dictate repairs, but don't accept the liability for that dictation. Okay? Then they want to tell you where to go get the car fixed and tell you, well, go to one of our shops, right? Direct repair program. And they promote them, right? You know, they say that they'll tell you. Ask them. They'll tell you. They're the best shops out there. It's bullshit. They're not. I know that because I worked for USAA, and some of the shops that we picked, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And again, don't misconstrue me. This isn't a personal affront to those businesses. All right. I'm sure those people were well-intentioned and they felt that they were doing what they needed to do for their business. But folks, you don't need that. All right. Nobody needs that. You don't need it. All right. It's not good. It's not good for anybody, those programs. It's good for the insurance company. All right. The article goes on to say, and now this is in their state, which this was Ohio, right? So if anybody is in Ohio and they're listening to me, all right, which I know with these podcasts, I mean, we could be anywhere today. We could be in the Milky Way for all the hell I know. 50% of the DRP shops were not legally operating shops. This is in Ohio, folks. Now, let me tell you, I can speak from experience. New York State, this goes on here too. Now, I'm not saying they're illegal, right? Insurance companies, at least in New York, they make sure that they're registered with the state and shit like that. And then some of the companies do go even further, and they require them to have minimum insurance and stuff like that and all this other shit. But what they don't require, okay, is that they all be manufacturer certified. All right. And now you've heard me talk about this. This is very important today. All right. In many situations today, you need to have certain certifications to touch these cars. Many of these shops simply will not have it. All right. And that's because of the capitalization that's needed to meet those strict standards. A lot of money. Let's see what else does they go on to say here. Okay, here in the latest strategy, all right, strategy by the insurance company to control costs, the insured agrees to use only an MRN shop. Now, MRN shops, I think they're referring to managed repair facility. Yes, so they're calling, instead of DR, they're calling them MRNs, which are managed repair network shops. All right, now this is something that might be coming down the pike here, so pay attention. Okay, in an effort to continue to control costs and get creative on that front, insurance companies are now, in certain parts of the country, they're coming up with policies where you take the policy out, but agree that if you wreck your car, you have to go to an MRN or a DRP program shop. In exchange, they're going to give you a low premium, warranty on repairs, which is bullshit because every shop warranties their work, free rental and replacement vehicles. I don't know what the hell that means, free rental. Nothing's free, especially with the insurance companies. That tells me the body shops are going to pay for that in some form or fashion. Lower premiums. Folks, this is nothing but the classic carrot and the stick, right? We'll give you 10% off on your physical damage coverage, 10% off on collision, 10% off on comp. And if you wreck your car, you're going over Tricky Dick's Auto Body, and he's got a guy with a one-arm bandit and two guys that are on a work release program this weekend, and they're going to fix your car. All right? That's what you're going to get, trust me. So then I guess this must have been a conference. People were asking, how can insurance companies legally tell them that a body shop will repair according to their estimate? How a shop can inform consumers legally that insurers can't legally tell them that a body shop will repair according to the estimate. Right now, here in New York State, we have a thing called a CERT, Certificate of Repair. You and I have to fill that out. And then your body shop fills out another section. And that one section on the bottom has two areas, box A and box B. Box A, if you check off A, you're a moron, basically. Okay. It says that you repaired the estimate as per the insurance company, what they wrote and how they said to fix the car. And then box B says, I've repaired the car, with the consent of my customer, and I've attached the detailed invoice or bill or whatever the hell it is, showing exactly what you did. The consumer has to get a copy of that. And like I said, only morons are going to check box A. And I'm sure there's some of them out there. All right. So let's say the article goes on to say aftermarket parts. Okay, it's another problem. Aftermarket parts, that is certified parts, are routinely, folks, listen up. All right. Aftermarket parts, the insurance company love aftermarket parts, right? And then they got on the bandwagon. Well, they're going to have to be certified. It's an independent agency called CAPA and everything. Okay, great. Well, now, Allstate and State Farm, they've decided that, that's not actually necessary, okay? Some of the parts do and some of them don't. This is them deciding this. That's not what New York State says. They have to be certified parts. So, but here's the problem. Some of the parts get decertified. Yeah. So now you get your car back from one of the insurance company's lovely DRP program shops, because they told you to go there, and they put all these shit parts on your car. You drive off the lot, and 6 months down the road, whoops, 3 of those parts are decertified. You know what that means? That means there's going to be a problem with them. They're either going to rot sooner, they're going to have a problem with the metal, they're going to have a problem with either the fasteners, or the way that the panel was installed. Maybe it's even going to fall off. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the decertification was applied for. You won't be contacted, though. You know why? Because the insurance companies, hold on, they're not bound by the same consumer protection laws as the collision industry. Whoops. I'm sorry. Did we put those parts on your car? You know, oh, I'm sorry. Is that bumper dragging on the ground? Did that fender fly off when you were doing 80 on the Robert Moses? You can't make this shit up. Here we go. Wasn't that long ago that 100% of the previously certified... Oh, folks, this is a good one, all right? We're going to end the show here. This is a winner. So when I started writing for USAA, we weren't allowed to use any headlights, right? Headlights are the only part on the car which come under the federal control. What I mean by that is DOT, Department of Transportation, and also they say here, well, federal motor vehicle safety standards as well, right? Which gets narrowed down to the Department of Transportation. All the aftermarket headlights sucked, all right? They were either, they had a coating on them, or the lenses were hazy. Your headlights are strictly controlled by DOT standards. They have to meet minimum strict standards for visibility, for projection, for clarity, all these different things. These things were pieces of crap. They weren't meaning. So the DOT immediately said, no good. Now, my company, which was better than most, we were proactive. We said, well, we're not writing any headlights anymore. You know, we would just write all original equipment headlights. So if you had a Ford, you got a Ford light, a Chevy, you got a Chevy light. And the article says here, it wasn't that long ago, that 100% of the previously certified headlamps were decertified. No consumer was ever notified. They were never provided with an option to get those headlights replaced, and we had people driving around. So, folks, all right, in its most primitive form, right? Because I know some people probably like, I don't give a shit. You know, they put that part on my car. I don't care. The fender, the door. Great, no problem. How about a headlight? You got a family? You're sticking your family? You're putting your wife in there? She's driving your kids at night? Right? Your visibility is impaired because that light is not meeting the minimum standards for what's considered safe, for visibility, for projection, for coverage. All right? Now, all of a sudden, that light gets decertified. You don't know it because nobody gives a shit. Nobody notifies you. Insurance company, no, they're the ones that told you had to use it. You got to use it. We use these parts. Great. Big problem. Okay? Big problem. So we're going to end it there. That was another one of Pete's rants. I hope you got something out of that, folks. Listen, the moral of the story here today is what? Okay? It's what it always is here on Crash Course. Okay? Continue to listen to us because you'll continue to be educated and continue to be smart in these things. Look, I know not all of us get involved in this. I've talked about this. On average, all of us are going to be involved in some kind of fender bender every 10 years. All right? God forbid. Hopefully it's nothing major. Most of that will occur within 25 square miles of where we live. All right, but folks, if you do end up in this situation, all right, and you get into a car accident, all right, folks, it's quicksand if you don't know what the hell you're doing today. All right, plain and simple, it's quicksand. All right, ignorance is not bliss, and you will be screwed. All right, and you should give a shit because, like I just explained to you, at a minimum, these things can affect safety. All right, for you and your family. And they can also obviously have implications for cost above what you're supposed to be responsible for. All right, so word to the wise. All right, remember, folks, stop with the photos. I'm going to keep pounding this in the ground till I'm either dead or the show's terminated. One or the other, whichever comes first. At this rate, it might be me. At any rate, stop it. All right, it's destructive. It doesn't help you. It helps them. It can also cause a problem for you. I've spoken about this. I've seen this. I worked over there on that side of the bridge. All right? They can use this against you. They can open up and investigate. They're not going to tell you, hey, how you doing? Thanks for the photos. By the way, they were so good that we handed them over to our investigation department, and they're gonna take a closer look at you. Oh, thanks. It doesn't work like that. Wake up. They don't tell you. Some jackass looks at your photos and goes, I don't think that looks really cool. Those damages don't look like they really should have occurred. Like that guy knows anything, right? Or she knows anything. But that's what happens. As quick as that. They look at your photos and, Yeah, that's bullshit, man. Something's going on. Hand that over to investigations. Investigations, SRU, Special Investigation Unit. Most of them are all retired cops. Good luck. They start snooping around into your personal life. They look to see if you have any car loans, mortgages, are you delinquent on any credit card payments, that kind of thing. Yeah. I'm not too cool with that. If you are, great. Keep sending photos. Knock yourself out. I don't like that. I like my privacy. All right? So knock it off. Doesn't help you. Hurt you. Okay? All right, man. I hope everybody had a good time. All right? Check out the last episode with the racing with Brian. We had a good time with that. All right? And, everybody keep it cool and catch me on the next episode.